What's up guys, it's your writing coach here, and in this video I want to give you a full introduction to literature reviews. Okay, I'm going to look at what is a literature review, I'm going to take you through an example of how we can approach and write a literature review, and finally I'm going to give you a few key tips, key things to think about when we're writing our literature reviews. When we do longer, more developed projects, we use a literature review to present the reader with the key text in that topic area. The literature, meaning the textbooks or articles that you use, is going to provide the reader with the framework of knowledge that they need in order to understand the study that you are doing. By providing this framework, we give the platform on which our study sits and identify the gap in research that our study will then fill. Now, to get into how we actually achieve this, I want to take a look at an example question and think about the process that we would go through to approach and write this literature review. So I'll put the example question up on the screen. Are financial incentives the most effective way of driving employee performance? Now, I'm going to talk later on about a few ways that we can select our literature, but for now I just want to think about some of the kinds of literature we might use when approaching this example question. Theoretical texts on workplace incentives, theoretical texts on employee management, statistical studies looking at the link between financial incentives and employee performance. So in my literature review, I'm going to be presenting the relevant ideas from these texts, linking them together in a discussion that provides the reader with a background of understanding in the topic. Now, as with most writing tasks, in order to keep our writing really focused, it's going to be useful to split it up into sections. Following our research questions through, I've broken up the ideas of our literature into 3 subheadings. Theoretical perspectives on workplace incentives, how incentives function on employee management, a background to the major quantitative research on the effect of financial incentives. By finding some subsections in which to put my literature, I've broken up a large writing task into smaller ones. And if at the end of the day I want to pull away the headlines to those subsections, the strong focused structure will still exist throughout that writing. Now let's get even closer, go into a text and look at how we structure the writing of a literature review. Take a look at this mock-up version of section 1 of our discussed essay. In the first sentence, an author is introduced. Their idea is then further defined using a paraphrase. We then link this idea to a further piece of literature which is going to build on it. The final sentence defines that second idea further, and through this process we are building up this platform of understanding in the reader's mind. Now, that was an example that looked at 2 pieces of literature linked through supporting ideas, but it may be that we need to present an argument in the research topic. Look now at how we can introduce an opposing view in our writing. By building up ideas and evaluating arguments within a topic area, we are presenting the reader with a sense of our own understanding of that subject and readying them for our own specific approach to creating research within it. This leads on to my first key point to think about when writing literature reviews: critical evaluation of text. When presenting text within your literature review, it's important that you show that you're evaluating the credibility of the text. This means questioning the origins of the sources and discussing the methods that they have used in order to create their opinion. When we're using two opposing texts, we can balance the weight of the conclusions against each other, placing our conclusion on the particular understanding of the topic that we feel to be most correct. The two final points I want to cover are both about selecting your literature. Why do you choose one text over another? And the first thing I want to think about here is relevance. When choosing which literature we're going to use to construct our literature review, we want to run each text by this question. Are the ideas in this text providing the useful background and context for answering the question of my study? The second way of selecting your literature is to think about what types of texts you want to be using. Now, generally, the main texts you're going to use are going to be published textbooks and peer-reviewed journals. Even when doing simple things like defining key pieces of vocabulary, always be thinking about where does your source originate from and is it the best, most relevant source to use. Don't ever just use random internet pages, even if it's just for defining vocabulary. And don't use dictionaries because they're not giving you that really specific contextual definition of the terminology that we're actually explaining. Okay, that's it guys for my introduction on literature reviews. I just had a look at myself in the camera here and I'm looking a bit tired now, so I'm glad we've got through all that. I hope that that's useful for you. I hope that it helps you get started on your own project. If you know anyone else who might benefit from the video, please send it across to them. Other than that, I'll see you again. Thanks a lot for watching.